Yeah, thank you for this introduction, Kevin. So my name is Heloise. I'm an account manager with Personal Finance Lab, and I've been with Personal Finance Lab for about 4 years. And then what I do is I help teachers and educators explore the platform with me, just like this, in case they want to figure out if the platform is meeting their needs. And then for teachers who choose to purchase a site license with us, I can continue to accompany them throughout the duration of their site license and longer if possible. So I'm going to kind of give you a walkthrough of the platform. We're going to save the questions to whatever Kevin can answer at the time in the chat, and then make notes of later questions perhaps I can develop a little bit later. So first, I hope everyone can see my screen that I'm sharing, the homepage of our platform. So first, what's good to know is our platform is entirely web-based, so it's easily accessible with a device, a browser, an internet connection, and there's nothing to download or install, and so you don't need to involve your IT department to get started with it. And therefore, students can access it both from the class, but also from home. And so it works great in virtual environments as well as in person or hybrid. Before I log in and show you the platform itself, I just want to hover over here to point out our resources that you can access. Like I said, before even logging in, you don't even need an account or anything for that. You can find out, you're going to find a little bit of information about how to use a platform and how to get started, which is what I'm showing a little bit here today with these teachers guides and setting up guide. You can find out how the content of our platform will align to the academic standards defined by your Department of Education in your state. So you can browse anyone that has those standards defined. You can obviously look at our video library to find sample lessons, but also video tutorials both for teachers and students. If you're looking for a little extra help on how to structure your classes or even your entire course, you can browse our lesson plans and our course outline that has lots of neat, suggestions on how you can present certain topics, how you can divide your class into units, and useful resources within our platform you can use, including integrative activities and grading rubrics. So be sure to browse all of these resources here. You can even click on the entire resources page that has lots more resources available for teachers. Now, all these resources, like I said, they're free, but they do point to content that's within our platform. If you're extra curious and you do want to browse all that content and see how it's useful to you, I invite you to sign up for a free demo account using the free teacher test drive link right here. It's all free. There's very little to do. You just sign up with your email address, and then that gives you an account, and then you can enter a pre-set session, and then you can click everywhere, browse everything, which is what we're going to look here. And so the three main components of our platform are the budgeting game, the stock game. So those are in the title of presentation, how we have the best games out there. And then the third component is our learning library. This contains over 300 lessons. Here I have like a little summary here, over 300 lessons on various topics in budgeting and saving and managing credit. And if I keep scrolling, we're going to get to investing. So yeah, this is just kind of an overview of our library. It's very, very long. And all of these lessons, you can pick and choose and then create assignments that you give for your students. So you can pick, the selection of these 4 or 10 lessons or something, and then make it a requirement for your students to read the lesson and answer the pop quiz at the end. And that all gets self-graded into your reports. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. And here on the login page, you'll notice that I can log in with my traditional username and password. But if I happen to be using a certain LMS like Google Classroom or Clever, I can use single sign-on with this. I'm going to log in the traditional way. And here we are, some updates that you hopefully have received via email. Here we are, and I'm just landing onto the dashboard. When I log in, it takes me to the dashboard here that gives me an overview of what's going on in my session. A session is an environment that I will have created, say, at the beginning of the semester, where I define, what is what are the tasks that I've assigned my students, such as playing the stock game, playing the budget game, and below here, the assignments, which are blocks of lessons that I've asked my students to complete. So if I have one particular session that I've designed that's for my personal finance class period 2, I can call it that. Then perhaps I have another session that's called econ, Tuesday morning. Perhaps I call it that, and then I just toggle between my different sessions here to view what's going on in there. So I just see the leaderboard of my stock game, the leaderboard of my budget game, and just at a glance the progress average for my students for that particular assignment. Assignment 1, assignment 2. If I want more detailed reports on their activity, scores, grades, progress, and all that, I, of course, have access to this in the reports tab right here. So I'm going to keep looking at this particular session that I created for the webinar. Notice that, as I welcome my students to the class, I can put a nice little message here for them. I can even upload an image that is especially helpful if you want to draw some attention to, say, if you have like a benefactor or a sponsor who's been helpful in providing the access to the platform to your students. You can thank them with a nice little logo appearing here, and it's going to appear all throughout the platform. And like I said, any sort of welcome message or instructions that you want to add here. So if this is my instructor dashboard, just to give a little overview what it looks like for the student dashboard. Here's a nice little message that I have for them. And then notice that rather than showing reports, the student dashboard is a little bit more task oriented, if you like. So the students are given a nice bright window here that tells them these are my assignments. My assignments are completing the budgeting basics, and after that, the stock basics, which are this selection of lessons. And then they just need to click on them and get started on it. I'm the teacher. I also have access to all of these lessons and games, which I can complete as they complete it too. For instance, for the stock game and the budget game, if I play them at the same time as my students, I will appear in the rankings, and that helps kind of foster a sense of competition. So while we're looking at the assignments here, we can have just like an overview of, the students are asked to do. So the students need to complete all these lessons, and this is the time that's allotted for them to complete. So up to the end of the semester, more or less, and then how much work they've done towards it, 0%. And as a nice little incentive, they can get a cash reward to either of the games. Say in this case, they would get $500 going to their checking account, their budget game, and then in the stocks game, the stocks basics assignment, they would get $1,000 going to the stock game. These are all values that teachers decide, how much cash they can receive going into their games, what minimum grade is required for them to actually complete a lesson, and the selection of lessons right here, and how much time left they have to do it. So looking at, say, a sample lesson, a beginner's guide to investing in stocks, this is a little estimated reading time. Well, students would click on it, and then the lesson often it will have like a nice little video lesson. It will have pictures or images or uh, diagrams or graphs or things like that. And like we said, the pop quiz at the end that's self-graded. So perhaps a student will answer these questions. Perhaps they answer a bit randomly here, and then they immediately get their results here, and then they can return to the assignment, and then they see that that they've completed the lesson right here. It's 100% completion and the progress bar. So we just looked at a sample lesson, and most of them like that. Some of them are a little shorter, some of them are a little longer, or more involved with more kind of tools, especially like calculating tools or spreadsheets. It's just a matter of selecting what you think is appropriate or what covers the academic standards in your state. So I'm going to go ahead and so we've looked at the assignments. I'm going to go ahead and look a little bit at the budget game right here. So if I want to play the budget game, I just hover over to the tab here and I start playing the budget game. So this game, I'm starting from scratch. Um, what I know about the game is I am given this scenario as a student. I am a college student with a part-time job. So what that means is I obviously go to school and I work, but only part-time. So I have irregular income. And then I have, on top of that, I have what I know are my fixed expenses, but I also have variable expenses. So it's a balance of figuring out, calculating how much I'm going to be earning in the month and how much I'm going to be spending in the month, which is how the first step they do when they build their monthly budget every month at the beginning of every month. So they calculate how much they're going to be earning in green, how much they're going to be spending in red, and then they figure out with what's left over how much they can choose to commit to putting into their savings. Notice that I start with a checking balance of $1,000 and a saving balance of $0. So I want to build my savings with the money that I earn every month. So there are three factors to increasing your game score in this game. We all start with the same, like I said, the same scenario and the same game score and the same values everywhere for the paychecks and the expenses. So all the students have the same opportunity to increase their game score as much as they can. It simply depends on their strategy. So the three factors to increasing their game score is, as we said, building a savings balance, so building an emergency fund. They need to build a minimum of $1,000 into their savings balance to get points that goes in their game score. And then as they keep building it beyond $1,000, they're going to even more points going to their game score. And how do they do it? Well, as we said, every month they build their budget and then they set a savings goal right here, a savings goal that they should be transferring from their checking to the savings balance, which is recommended to be 10% of their income. So as they set their saving goal, this saving goal of 10%, and then they reach it before the end of the month, they're going to get points going to their game score right here. Another factor to increase the game score here is their quality of life score. This is points they will get for expenses that they make in the game that obviously aren't their monthly bills, but extra expenses that they make to treat themselves, make themselves a little bit happy, keep a balance in their life just to maintain quality of life. Exactly. So money that they don't put into their bills or they don't put into their savings, but they spend on themselves, that's going to increase the quality of life. So that's the balance to the savings here. And the third factor is the credit score. This credit score starts fairly low, but it will creep up slowly month after month as the students pay all their bills on time, including their credit cards. So if they keep their credit usage low to no more than 50% of their credit limit and pay all their bills on time, this will slowly creep up. And as this goes up, it gives more point to here in the game score. And so we're going to just give an overview of the budget game, what it looks like when we play it. So we're going to start the month just so you can have some visuals here. We are starting at the very beginning of the game. We're choosing what are going to be our living situation. Remember I mentioned I have my quality of life score here. This is determined by how much I'm willing to spend for comfort and nice things. So I can choose to spend more money to have a more comfortable place and therefore have less money left over for savings, or be a little bit more thrifty, have more roommates and pay less money, but I'm going to be inconvenienced more. I'm going to have less quality of life. Or I can choose middle of the road right here like this. I choose my grocery plan as well, my cellular plan, TV and internet, and there we go. I've selected my living situation. I'll begin, like you said, build my monthly budget right here at the beginning of the month. So it's a matter of figuring out how much I'm going to be earning this particular month. Remember, it varies based on, the hours I'm working that month. Some months are going to be leaner than others. Correct. So I know what I'm going to be earning. I know how much I'm going to be spending here. That's in red. So all of these values for the bills, these are values that the teacher decides. So it's possible to kind of localize it a little bit and use values that are representative to your area. Not all areas in the United States have the same kind of cost of living. So there's ways to adjust these values, how much they earn and how much they spend. You can even make it a fun class activity for them to kind of do some research to figure out how much these bills are going to be. And here I'm going to estimate how much my variable expenses are going to be. I'm going to put like a nice number here. So I think I'm going to be earning this much. No, I know I'm going to be earning this much. I think I might be spending that much, and that would be my leftovers. Well, that would make it easy to reach my goal of around $265, about 10% of that income. And that gets my savings goal. And then just to kind of revisit all these kind of calculations and decisions I've made, I can make sure, yep, that's my upcoming paychecks. I know when I'm going to get paid and how much. Uh, what are my expenses? Yep, I know all these expenses. I know how much I'm going to be paying for those. Now, that's how much these expenses are. But if I want a little bit more information on my bills here, I can figure out where I owe money. Notice this is blinking here, and some of those uh, expenses here are blinking. If it's blinking, that means a bill has been issued, so it's time for me to pay it. So for instance, all of these I have bills that have been issued, but I have a little bit of time to pay for them. If I click on rent, my due date is August 21st. And if I want to, really remind myself of it, uh, easy. I have right here, August 21st, I have a little icon that tells me the due date. So I need to pay attention to my calendar to remember when things are owed, and I need to pay attention to this to remind myself I have some money I owe somewhere. And as a further reminder, I have my counter here for my outstanding bills. If this is not zero, I owe some money somewhere. So I can choose to pay my bills right away or wait until I'm a little closer to the date. Given that it's Friday, and then we're gonna have the weekend coming up. Friday I should get my paycheck, and then on the weekend I'm gonna have some. And there you go. Nice. I get my paycheck. I can observe it a little bit, my wages and everything, and then below here, my deductions. These are also adjustable to your own particular state when you select the settings. So you can make representative to your state. Click deposit. Nice, I just got it. And then, so notice I got my paycheck deposited here, and then it's marked here in green for me to remind myself that I got that money in green. And then I can decide if I want to splurge a little bit to go to a concert. And this is based on a decision I make based on when I built my budget. I just did it a day ago. So I know that I had a pretty good month. I don't need to be too careful with money that month, or at least, that's how I feel personally about it. I can go ahead and treat myself. That's going to give me nice points here in my quality of life score. So I do it, and then I'm asked whether I open a debit and credit. I personally like to consolidate all expenses. I'll get it later. A little note on the credit card. Um, there is a single credit card in the game. There's not any credit card where you don't have several of them. You're not trying to chase after extra rewards or points or something. There's no benefit to using your credit card over your checking balance here. Is simply the access to very, very low credit that is given to students. So we're not encouraging students to use credit at all. So they have their credit card with their monthly expenses and monthly payment, and then it'll just kind of, the only reward they get is the limit going up a little bit as they increase their credit score. And there is no auto payment feature. They have to remind themselves to make the payment somewhere in the month when the bill is going to be issued. I'm going to roll once more. So move forward in the month, and then so notice some events happen at fixed dates. Like my paychecks is going to happen every Friday. The weekend is where I have free time, and it happens every Saturday. And I choose to do what I want to do with my extra time on the weekend. Work more hours for more money. Take care of my house. Socialize with friends, and have a nice little boost of quality of life, or study because I have responsibilities since I'm a student. So these happen on, like I said, the Friday, Saturday, and my bills, of course. I also have random events that happen every time I roll to move forward. Those are completely random events that are unplanned for, and I need to respond to it. And based on my strategy, it will increase my game score or perhaps not. So when the students try an activity, they're going to have a nice little game like this, and then you make a decision. I'm going to pick this one because it's the cheapest. I need to balance the best price for the best quality. Oh, I do like that. There's a way to this game, but I'm just trying to not spend too much time. Ooh, the cheapest carrots. That's how I shop. Complete game, and here I have my points. And here I get 25 quality of life points because I took care of cleaning my kitchen. It feels great. And so on top of that, like we said, we saw some random events that happen. We also have embedded lessons that are hidden somewhere in the game. So when the students cross a particular date, they're going to have a short little embedded lesson on budgeting or managing credit or something like that. The students has to answer. It's very short. It's going to be a minute or two, and then they have a little pop quiz at the end, and then that it gives them a little bit of bonus income to go in their checking balance. And so as I move forward, I take care of these bills. I take care of these kind of random events. I remind myself to not forget to make transfers to my savings. I can do it right here. I have money here. I can use transfer to go from checking to saving. I'm going to make a little transfer like this, and there we go. I just started a little bit to make some transfers. So I'm happy with that. And then lastly, what students can do is they can visit each other's little apartments to see what their living conditions are, depending on the choices they made when starting the game, and how well they're taking care of their apartment, and if they're trying to furnish it to make it a little nicer. Students can obviously view all that they've been doing in the month. I mean, throughout the entire game, but they do have a little summary of what they're doing in the month, just to kind of get a callback of, are they doing well in this game, with some quick stats and assessments on how well they're doing with their savings and their emergency fund, their credit score, and some kind of tips on how they can improve things and how balanced their lifestyle is following this. And then they can scroll down and then have an overview of their transaction history. Notice I said I like to use my credit card a lot because it consolidates all my transactions right here. So students can view all of this, and teachers can view it too, like I said, in the reports here. And then I'm just going to spend just a few minutes now going to the stock game. In this game, it is also a simulation game, if you like, but not the only scenario that you have is whatever rules and settings teachers decide for their students in order to try to increase their profits with their portfolio. Teachers decide, how much cash they start with in their portfolio, say $100,000, but it could be a more realistic scenario for, say, a teenager where it's maybe you start with $1,000, maybe you put weekly deposits in it. There's even the opportunity to combine the two games, the budget game and the stock game, where students can build their portfolio as they make transfers from their checking account or savings account to their portfolio. So whatever the teachers decide, and then teachers can choose to allow just buying and selling, but they can allow to short and cover. There's lots of settings that teachers can decide to allow students to learn about investing. For instance, they can keep it simple with a few security types they can trade, but you can also add cryptocurrency or options and futures and things like that. So here I have just quite simply, I'm going to go with US stocks, but notice I also have in North America, I can enable Canadian stocks. And as a sample, I also put some stock exchange in Europe and Asia. So it's all kinds of settings that teachers can enable for students. I'm going to go ahead and pick something simple like Google. If I enter the name of the symbol. If I'm not sure, I can always enter the name of the company. It will return the suggested name of the symbol for it. And then right here on the page, I don't need to go anywhere else, but right here on the page, I can just find all the information that I need to make a decision about buying the stock. So the name of the company here and the days change to the right. And if I scroll below, I have even more information on the company itself, company news, analyst rating, price history on the stock, financial statements, and detailed quote and map. And then I keep scrolling here. I have just a nice little tutorial on how to use the play the stock game with kind of step-by-step guide. All kinds of other video tutorials I mentioned in the video library earlier, but also kind of pinned right here to the tutorials column right here under the stock game. So easy to find if I need extra information. And so if I'm happy with my selection, it's going to give me a nice little preview. I clicked somewhere I shouldn't have. There. So this is the price. I want 10 of them. This is how much it will cost. I can happily buy it. I can even leave a little trade note if this is a requirement that the teachers has made because you use it for like participation grading or something. You can go ahead and do that. And there we have it. And then students can look back at their portfolio summary here and see how it performs against a benchmark index of their choice. This particular portfolio is too new to show anything, but if we look at an older one, it would look something like this. There's my portfolio performance, and there's, say, S&P 500. Obviously, students can look at what they're going to be interested in seeing is their rankings, how their portfolio return compares against their classmates. This is where teachers can appear as well for competition. They can look back at their open and closed positions, transaction history, order history, trade notes if they've left any, and all that. And as we said, teachers can view in the reports section. They can view the report on the budget game, so they can view their scores, but also the transaction histories. They can look for the stock game. They can look at they can look at students' rankings, but also transaction history, trade notes, and so on. There it is. Their total trade made and all that. They can make nice little cash adjustments to their stock game, both positive and negative. And they have access to all of this. Notice I have here some I created students for this class. So I just gave them a nickname, webinar, but teachers who have created their session, so selected all of the settings we mentioned for the assignments for the budgeting game and the stock game. Once they have created their session, they can easily invite their students by sharing a registration link with your students. And when they click on this, they can be added to the class, and then the students start populating right here. We also integrate with a few LMSs. So if you need instructions about that, you can email me. We can send that over. I see we're already at 29 minutes, so we don't want to take too much of your time for the webinar, but perhaps we can leave a few seconds, even minutes, for some questions or anything else we can add to this. Kevin, is there a gist or a nice little something I can show before closing?
We don't need to close it right away. We can leave it open if other people have questions. Let me take the screen for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Yeah, so yeah, I answered a few questions in the chat already. This really just kind of scraped the surface. There's so much more built into the Personal Finance Lab that your students and yourself can check out. If you do want to get started to get pricing, you can drop the number of students you expect this semester in the chat, and we'll get back to you with a quote. Or you can contact Heloise. Her email address is hfrison@personalfinancelab.com. If you want to set up a one-on-one demo, we can go in a lot more detail about the tools that you'd use your specific class. Otherwise, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it for the 30 minutes that we had. Of course, we can easily go on for over an hour. But yeah, for this point, I'll leave it up to questions. And if anybody has any questions, I can just answer them right here instead of in the chat.
Yeah, we're happy to stay for a few more minutes for any additional questions or requests or anything. Like it was mentioned earlier, we will email everyone the recording of this session, extra little information, and importantly, my contact information if you need to reach out to me if you have any additional questions, requests. If you need to receive a quote to present for budgeting or anything, feel free to reach out to me.
So one teacher just asked, can you change the scenario for the budget game? So yes, you can. Let me actually show you some of the settings that you can set up here. Yeah, a few questions here. Can teachers edit the settings and scenarios in the budget game? For example, where will you live? So we don't have like geography set, but some of the settings you can choose is how much are your students paid. The income tax is calculated based on where you are located. Do you want your students to start as the part-time student who has a part-time job, as Heloise is showing, or do you want them to start as a full-time worker who has a full-time job, regular income? If you're a full-time worker, there's more bills and stuff that happen. And you can also set the game to have half and half or switch it up. So in this scenario I have here, I set the game to go for 12 months. 6 of those months they were a student, and then they graduate, and then they're a full-time worker after that. So I set the hourly rate they were getting at their job separately for it. And then I set the bills amounts differently for the different scenarios too. If you remember at the beginning of the game, the students had an option for their monthly rent, their phone bill, their TV internet bill, and their grocery bill. Those are based on what you enter here. These will always be the middle choice, but then they'll have a choice that's a little bit more expensive, a little bit cheaper. You can also change what some of those random events happen in the game by selecting these buttons. This adds more events that focus on, for example, taxes or investing to the default card set.
Oh, Kevin, I think you're sharing your slides still.
That's strange. Let me stop and restart here. Here we go.
There.
So yeah, just so we can see the, this is just for the budget game. There's a bunch of settings that you can configure. We have default setup that keep the game really balanced. And then at the bottom, you can see what it's going to look like for your students while they're actually playing. That way, we used to have a trend where teachers would put students in making minimum wage in their part-time job and then give them, what it costs to actually rent an apartment themselves in the city. And then students would immediately go bankrupt because they just couldn't afford it. And so that's why we put these summaries down here to just so you can actually see, is this something my students can afford or not? That way you can play around with the bills accordingly. Next question was, how are the jobs determined? So the jobs in this game, everybody in your class, because it's a competition with rankings, they all have the same job. And so you decide how much they're earning. Now, students can earn a raise in their job if they do that study option a lot. And that means if they study a lot while they're a part-time student, when they become a full-time worker, they're going to have a higher starting wage than the students who didn't study a lot. While they are a full-time worker, they also have the option to professional development. If they do that a lot, they can earn a raise at their job. So there's a little bit of play with that, but in general, with the budgeting game, because we want an even playing field for all the students, everybody just has the same wage. Next question. A full year personal finance course, can the license work for the full year, or is it semester based? So if you buy a license for Personal Finance Lab, it's per student per year. So most of the time, the schools we work with have the students using it for one semester, but if you're using a full year-long course, we do also have, it's the same price for that. In that case, for the budgeting game, for example, you'd probably extend the game out 24, 36 months, even longer. That way students can keep playing through it. And the portfolio simulation, you just have the trading dates go longer as long as you'd like. We even have schools that set it up where they set up 2 sessions for the trading simulation if they're really into investing, and they'll have like one semester where the students just have a very basic portfolio. They can just like $1,000 in cash and no short selling, no day trading. And then for the second semester, they'll set up a second game that just turns everything on and lets students kind of go after whatever they'd like to see, cryptocurrencies and options and all that kind of stuff. By default, those are off, but teachers have the option to turn them on for their classes. How long can they be a student? There isn't a limit. So long as your site license is active, a student can. Oh, how you mean in the budgeting game, or do you mean how long can a student be on your site license? Because in both cases, for your site license, as long as your site license is active, a student can continue to be using it. That's not a problem. In the game, you can set it to as long as you want. So you, as a teacher, say how long the game is played, like how many months they're going to be playing in total, and you also determine how many months of that are they a part-time student versus a full-time worker. So in our default scenario, the game is actually, we set it to 18 months. 6 of those months you're a part-time student, and then the next 12 months you're a full-time worker. But you as the teacher can change it however you'd like for your class. Or just have them always in part-time mode or always in full-time mode. That's also possible. Okay, I think that is all the questions. Let me bring up that slide one more time. If anyone else has any other questions, you can contact Heloise Frison at PersonalFinanceLab.com. Happy to answer any questions, send pricing, set up a one-on-one demo where you can really walk through your class. Yeah. Oh, one of the questions here is essentially, if we start the game with a student in 9th grade, can it progress them all the way until senior year? Yes, we actually have some universities that do that for the stock game, where the students are expected to manage their portfolio for all 4 years of their degree. High schools, that doesn't happen quite as often because it just doesn't work out that way. But yes, you can have a student have the same game go for years on end. That our platform totally supports that. Okay, so we will be sending out the recording for this meeting. And yeah, so we hope to work with all of your classes later this semester. Thank you.
Thank you all.